If I had to just give you my thoughts on this Unite the Right rally, okay? If I take a step back and do it, I go, well, the first thing you would point out, this is what's so crazy about what's been going on in the mainstream media, like no one, it seems like almost no one is mentioning this. And it really should be mentioned. Like, first thing is that it was a few hundred people. It was a few hundred people. You know...
To state on that, what's insane about it just being a few hundred people is they're trying to create this narrative of, thanks to Trump's victory, it's riled up
That's right.
masses of people.
There's a Nazi uprising now because Trump's in there. There's this white supremacist, white nationalist thing sweeping the wave. So this whole campaign, everybody just trying, it's like they kept doing this whole like Trump is Hitler thing, you know, like Trump's Hitler. And I'd be sitting there watching the campaign and I'm like trying to break down Trump, and I have a ton of problems with him. And you're trying to say like, what is this movement? Who's inspired by Trump? It caught all of us somewhat off guard. But so you're sitting there and they'd go like, Trump's evil and they're racist and he dog whistles racism. And then you go listen to a Trump speech, okay? And Trump will be there and he'd be like, you know, the mainstream media says that we're racist. They're the biggest liars on the planet. They're the biggest liars. They say we're racist. The truth is we're going to do tremendously well for the black people. You just watch. We're going to do tremendously well. And it gets a massive standing ovation. And you're like, okay. I mean, for a bunch of people who are, for a guy who's dog whistling racism to a bunch of people, they're working real hard to cover it. They're working real hard to cover it. Like, hey, Bobby Burns, I don't know, you know, you've listened to a few, you grew up in a Jewish household. They've made you read books about Hitler. You've read a few Hitler speeches before. Do you ever recall the one where he's like, you know, the mainstream media says that we hate the Jews. They're such liars. We're going to do tremendously well for the Jewish people. You just watch. And then all the people are clapping like, yeah, we love the Jews. Yeah. No, so acknowledge that. Like, even if you're going to call him Hitler, fucking acknowledge this is not what's going on here. You guys are elevating this group so fucking much. Guys, I don't say this just to like I'm not trying to like take a shot at Christopher Cantwell. I enjoyed having him on the show, and I appreciate the fact that he's willing to have an adult conversation, which is more than I can say for a lot of people. Now, but I will say, you know, he at one point bragged about the numbers that he has on his show, and let me just tell you, the show is like, I mean, I was kind of surprised when I heard about it. I mean, you know, we're easily 7 or 8 times bigger than that. It's not like, guys, they're not as big a group as you think they are. Now, I'm not saying there are some big guys out there, and Christopher Cantwell is, you know, they've done their best over the last few hours to try to make him bigger. But it's just like the idea that you would treat this like, oh, this is the entire right wing. So you have like 400 or 500 people out there. What, maybe 40, 50 of them have swastikas or something like that. So all of a sudden now that's the entire right. Any collectivist identity movement is just going to draw people who suck. And you see this, guys. You see it. Like, who gets really, really into the whole race IQ battle? You know? Like, all those guys, like, tweeting, like, shit about race and IQ on the internet, it's usually not the highest IQ people. It's usually people who have nothing going on and need to identify with some type of group. And so, like, yeah, you're going to get a whole bunch of losers, and basically the point is that this movement can't possibly spread. It's absolutely no threat. It's the only way, if you were trying to defeat this movement, the alt-right or whatever you want to call this group of people, if you're trying to defeat the Unite the Right people in Charlotte, what has been done is the absolute worst thing you could do. The absolute worst thing, which is go down there, counter-protest, make it a violent scene, get them on national news, put them on every single major media outlet, and then be completely unfair and dishonest in the coverage. Say, hey, they were just completely evil people. They're these evil sociopaths, and let everyone watch the videos of what happened there and go, oh, wow. It certainly is a bit more nuanced than that, isn't it?